Good morning. Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus. It is my pleasure to serve as senior minister. This morning, we focus on our theme for October, deep listening. In this service, you'll find stories, songs, and images to take us deeper in what it means to listen fully. But before we begin our service, I want to do a couple things. One is to thank Sue Fonlacher for the lovely flowers behind me on the altar. You will see those later in the service. And I also want to recognize that on this day and every day, we are on the land that Native Americans inhabited for thousands of years before white people came. In central and southern Ohio, the Adena and Hopewell peoples built mounds, traversed, and enjoyed life as early as 3000 BCE. I now invite you to center yourself as we listen to Nathan play our prelude.
Good morning and welcome to our Sunday morning service. My name is Lisa Brandt and I serve as the board chair here at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus. And this is Sebastian. This morning we are exploring the month-long theme of deep listening. I'm so glad you're with us. And speaking of listening, the board members of First UU will be holding a virtual town hall next Sunday immediately following the service. This will be in place of our weekly coffee hour. We hope you'll join us as we give you some updates on what the board has been up to lately, a sneak peek at some exciting things ahead for our justice ministry, and to gather your input on what you and your loved ones will need in order to feel safe returning to our building together. If you're visiting with us this morning, welcome. Please let us know you're here by filling out the visitors form on our website. If you're interested in learning more about or joining First UU, please attend our next Pathways membership class on November 1st. All are welcome to join us for coffee hour after the service for fellowship and conversation. The links for all these opportunities to connect will be posted in the chat box. To learn more about our programs for children and youth, please email our Director of Religious Exploration, Amber Scott. Finally, to find out more about what is happening at First UU, please email our Director of Congregational Life, Kelly McNeil, to join our mailing list and receive updates and important announcements in your inbox each week.
Thank you, Lisa. If you have your candle or chalice at home, I invite you to get it now so that we can light our chalice together. Using our theme of deep listening, we light our chalice to the words of my friend and seminary classmate, Reverend Jessica Purple Rodella. Listen. Listen to the silence. Listen to the wind. Listen to the stars. Hear trees. Dance. Dance to the beat of your neighbor's heart. Dance to the rhythm of your childhood dreams. Sing. Sing and hum a wordless song to the tune of your rushing blood. And pray. Pray with a fever that makes you sweat through February snow. And pray with a fervor that gives you chills in July. Shout your prayer like a howl. Howl till the sound of your soul touches the clouds and haunts the moon. Come, let us howl our alleluias. Come, let us pray and sing and celebrate. Come, let us worship together. Our chalice is lit. For our deep listening words this morning for our theme, I would like to open these words from one of my favorite writers, Richard Wagamese. He's a First Nations Ojibwe from Canada, and he writes in his book, Embers, the following meditation. It's in the form of a dialogue. Me, you always repeat things 3 times. Old woman, just the important things. Me, why? I hear you the first time. Old woman, when you listen, you become aware. That's for your head. When you hear, you awaken. That's for your heart. When you feel, it becomes a part of you. That's for your spirit. 3 times. It's so you learn to listen with your whole being. That's how you learn. I now invite you to join in singing together when our heart is in a holy place.
We are
I invite you to gather around and open your ears as we listen to Amber share our story for this morning.
Good morning. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration. Our Sunday school class for 3 to 7-year-olds and youth group for age 12 to 19 both meet online later today. Check the chat box for more information. For our theme of deep listening today, our story is called Razia Learns to Swim, written by Divya Panikkar and illustrated by Lavanya Naidu, published under a Creative Commons license on Storyweaver. Razia and her mama live on an island far out in the ocean. Razia calls her mother Amachi, which means mom in Malayalam. Her mama wants Razia to learn how to swim, but Razia is scared of being in the water. The ocean is so large and so deep. Today, the waves are small. Mama takes Razia to the lagoon. Razia, please get in the water. The lagoon is shallow, says Mama, but Razia is still afraid. Can I learn to swim next time, Amachi? Please? Don't be scared, Razia. Watch how all the animals swim. Try moving your legs and arms just like them. Razia peers into the water. So many colorful animals are all around her. Black! Razia got some water inside her snorkel, and it tastes very salty. Razia takes a deep breath and dips her head in the water. She watches the animals swim, just like Amachi told her to. A baby turtle swims by, kicking her legs and pushing the water aside with her flippers. Razia tries to swim like the turtle. She accidentally gulps some water. Amachi, the water stings, cries Razia. Keep trying. It will get easier, says her mama. The next day, Razia watches a baby octopus jet by. He draws water in and pushes his 8 arms forward. Razia tries to swim just like the octopus. But she swallows some more water. Ugh! But she tries again. Watch me kick my legs, Amachi, yells Razia. Great job. Keep trying. The next day, an eagle ray soars by, flapping her triangular wings. Razia tries to swim like the ray. She swallows some water and sinks a little. Blub, 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 blub. Ugh, this is so hard, Amachi, she says to her mama. Keep trying, Razia. So Razia tries again, and again, and again. The next day, some plankton float by. They have no flippers and no wings. They move with the waves. Razia stretches out her arms and legs and floats like the plankton. Amachi, watch me float, shouts Razia. That's great, Razia, replies her mama. The next day, a long, squiggly eel wiggles by. He swings from side to side like a snake. Razia tries to swim like the eel. Razia, you are swimming, says her mama. The next day, a flying fish leaps by and glides through the air. Razia tries to swim like the flying fish, but she flails and crashes in the water. Ouch! My arms and legs hurt, Amachi, says Razia. Once you remember to breathe while you're swimming, your arms and legs will move slower and more steadily. Then it will hurt less. Keep trying. The next day, a dolphin zips by. He comes to the surface of the water, breathes deeply, and then dives. Razia tries to swim like the dolphin. She lifts her head out of the water, gulps some air, and dives back in. As the days go by, Razia watches more and more animals swim. She learns many new moves. Razia kicks, she floats, she wiggles, she dives. She holds her breath for longer and longer. She swims faster and faster. Razia, it's time to go, yells Mama one day. Razia replies, "Oh, can I swim just a little bit longer? Please, Amachi?" The end. At first, Razia was afraid of the ocean. The waves made her feel nervous. But she took her mother's advice and she listened closely to see what she could learn about swimming from the animals. She opened herself to the wisdom of others and she was able to succeed within a community of care. Razia found strategies to cultivate her own resilience. In these times of great uncertainty and anxiety, we are all trying to find what works for us. May we learn from each other and offer one another support as we find our way through it.
Thank you, Amber. Yes, let's find our way through it. Perhaps as you're figuring out how to do that, you want to share what's going on in your life with us. If there's some pain in your life that you need heard, or a joy that needs amplified, we'll have some time later together this morning, and I will share those joys and sorrows out loud. So if you have something you would like to include, I invite you to use the chat box to type your full name and in 10 words or less, the sorrow or joy you wish to share. Then select Send to Panelists. Feel free to give me some pronunciation tips. In the future, you are welcome to submit a request ahead of time on our website under Connections. That's also a place you can ask to get in touch with us for pastoral care, request a caring card, or get support from our caring network. And now I invite you to join us in singing Find a Stillness. The words are based on a Unitarian Transylvanian text.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the
Thank you all for singing, and thank you, Brandon, for leading us and Nathan playing. Buddhist teacher Shagram Trungpa offers us this wisdom. We cannot change the way the world is, but by opening to the world as it is, we may discover that gentleness, decency, and bravery are available not only to us, but to all human beings. But what happens when you're in the midst of all things pandemic, a bitter political season, or swinging on the bridge of despair? Could something that sounds as simple as deep listening guide us in the struggle to stay above water? Could it teach us how to swim? We cannot change the nature of the virus. We cannot change its trajectory. We cannot change the game of politics, but we can stop defending the status quo that leans into power and privilege. We cannot change the bridge over troubled waters, but we can change how we travel. Listen to science. Open your heart. Risk being honest. Now, you might be recoiling at dismissing any of these suggestions. You might even be defending yourself. I already do that, of course I do. And yes, I'm honest. But that's a big one, to really risk being deeply honest. Of course I'm honest, you say. But hold on, listen deeply. If someone is telling you their story, the loss of a loved one, a personal tragedy, a struggle, listen. It is not about you. It's not time to tell your story in a tit for tat. Yes, your experience helps you have empathy, and that's great. But the truth is, another person's story is not yours. Now, I struggle with this, and sometimes, more often than not, I get it wrong. I can be too quiet, or I can talk too much. There's a delicate balance between the wisdom of emotionally and spiritually mature people who have seemed to hone those skills of deep listening. You know it when you're around it. As a teen and young adult, I could literally go days on end without talking. I would listen, but I'd never share. People loved that I listened, but soon realized that they knew nothing about me. And actually, I thought that was just fine. My silence might have been good for listening. It gave a lot of people a lot of space. But this version of listening wasn't healthy. In conversations, just as in relationships, sharing is required. But it doesn't happen all at once or all at the same time. There's an ebb and flow, a balance, if you will. In time, I shifted from being too quiet to sometimes talking too much, as if my story, my thoughts, my opinions were all that mattered. As I began to gain confidence about sharing, I realized that my silence had allowed me to avoid listening to my own story, to avoid being vulnerable to myself and others, and to avoid the challenge of deep personal reckoning and potential growth. By talking too much or too little, I was avoiding being accountable to others and respecting their stories and experience. I was also avoiding being accountable to my own capacity for honest self-reflection and the risk of going to those harder places. Now, I know life is long and life is also all too short. There are many bridges in that time that we cross or attempt to cross that seem impossible. We can close our eyes, our ears, our hearts, our minds, and we can just rush headlong right into the unknown. Or we can cower in fear. If we do that, we risk drowning in place. The trick to being honest with ourselves, there is a way to cross over to the other side, to cross over to the next moment. Now, listening is more than getting from point A to point B. It's more than a transactional balance sheet or keeping score. You shared twice, so I get to share twice. It's more than that. Listening is a deepening process. It's more than merely hearing. As the old woman said to Wagamis in our opening words this morning, it's about counting and listening in a different way. When you listen, you become aware. That's for your head. When you hear, you awaken. That's for your heart. When you feel, it becomes a part of you. That's for your spirit. 3 times. It's so you learn to listen with your whole being. That's how you learn. Unfortunately, with most things worth becoming, deep listening takes practice. Sometimes it takes risk of vulnerability. I'm reminded of Henry David Thoreau, one of our Unitarian ancestors. In reflecting on the United States of his time, he offered scandalous advice. In the Thoreau you don't know, Robert Sullivan tells us that Thoreau dared to read the past, including the shortcomings of manifest destiny, differently than most. Now, I believe that Thoreau listened to history not once, not twice, but he absorbed it. He listened deeply with his whole being. He wrestled with it and came to understand a different capacity for hope. By going deep, Thoreau was able to hold that space that we all need. Here's what Sullivan wrote. Thoreau saw the American past as proof that life could renew. As morbid as it is, the wreckage of history inspires a kind of hope, if not challenge, a call to a new revolution, or a call, in the transcendentalist words, a real reform. If America was found and lost again, once, Thoreau wrote, as most of us believe, then why not twice? Walden calls us to jump out of the boat as we head over the falls. So I ask you, could we change our course? Could we discover that gentleness, decency, and bravery are available, not just to us, but to all human beings? We can't change the world, but we could open up to discovering a capacity that others, including ourselves, have missed. Could we open up and do that? Could we listen to our deepest fears and still cross that tenuous bridge? As singer-songwriter Pat Humphreys of Emma's Revolution writes or suggests, we are not alone. She sings, we are all swimming to the other side. Deep listening is gentle, decent, and brave. You have to give of yourself to deeply listen to others. You also have to be quiet to be still and to listen deeply to your own being. You can't be a chatterbox all the time. You can't even brush around all the time. You have to join Thoreau and find your own way to walk around the woods or around your own Walden Pond. You do this to settle your spirit so you can listen with your whole being. And sometimes you just have to lean into the present. You just have to do it. Lean into this very point in time. You have to listen with your ears, your mind, your heart, and your whole being. CEO Scott Kelly had to do this. He had to deliver devastating news to the shareholders of United Airlines this past week. With travel down 84% and the furlough of 13,000 workers and doubts about the airline's future, Kirby first went to gratitude. He thanked all of his employees and staff for the difficult sacrifices they made to meet the current challenges. Then, looking for just the right words to find shreds of hope, he reached back 78 years to help us remember and reframe the time we're in. Here are a few of Kirby's words from his presentation, including a decades-old quote, profoundly perfect for this moment, too. Here's Kirby. Today we are expressing not a shift from pessimism to optimism, as much as it is an expression of confidence in the future. There's a great quote that I love, Kirby writes, from Winston Churchill, that he said in 1942, over 2 years before the end of World War II. Churchill wrote, "This is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end. It is perhaps the end of the beginning." Churchill knew the world was in the depths of war. Kirby knows the airlines are in the throes of catastrophic economic upheaval. And we all know we're in the grim realities of pandemic with rising caseloads and death. None of us are at the beginning. For sure, we are not at the end. But as Churchill said, it is perhaps the end of the beginning. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of pandemic life, and that might be an understatement. As the temperatures drop and winter looms, as statistics barrel headlong into dire warnings, all of us long for relief, a return to some kind of normal. But there is no immediate fix. Singer Carrie Newcomer offers sage advice for us in this moment as she sings on her album, The Point of Arrival. The only way out is through, but the only way through is in. Where the soft soul waits and hearts beat and break, and the real wars are waged and won. The only way out is through. The only way through is in. No matter what you do in life, teach, lead, learn, struggle, relax, we're all in this together. We're all swimming to the other side. Maybe we will find the answers, hopefully sooner than later. But maybe not. But what we can do is listen deeply. We can increase our confidence in ourselves, each other, and the future. We must be brave, we must be decent, and we must be gentle. As we pass the end of the beginning, we dive into the present with our whole beings. Listen deeply. We can do this for each other. We can do this for ourselves. And I'll be there with you too, going right on along. The truth is, we must not do this alone. Together, there is hope. We can do this. We can meet the moment. Blessed be, and amen.
Dum 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 dum. The river is a healer, the river is a sage. The river knows no end and the river feels no age. The river is a leader every single day. He's living in the moment and it always finds a way. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river calls me over, it's calling out my name. In the day and in the night I hear that river all the same. It's calling me over, calling out my pain. Oh, a river gathers tears just like a river gathers rain. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river is a traveler, always on the go. The river never worries if it's fast or if it's slow. River, take me to where I need to go. Oh, I will just relax and let the river flow. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole.
Thank you, Brandon and Will, for that delightful and moving musical offering. First UU is a church that matters. It is in the foundation of our being to love, to care, and to be generous. We know this world is a long way from being fair to all people. It takes all of us to make it better. To offer our gifts and pay our promised pledges is to say to ourselves and the world that we are defined by our hearts and our deeper values. Our Share the Plate recipient for October is Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed. FLOW's mission is to keep the Olentangy River and its tributaries clean and safe for all to enjoy through public education, volunteer activities, and coordination with local decision makers. FLOW partnered with First UU to build a small rain garden by our memorial garden and a larger one near our church entrance off Weisheimer. These were some of the first rain gardens in Columbus and are a great example of First UU leading the way on environmental issues. The offering that helps build a better world and a better church will now be gratefully received. You can donate online on our website, text to give, bank by mail, or write a check and mail it in. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Nathan. I could feel Carrie Noble's lyrics coming through, reminding me that even if it seems no one will listen, I am being heard. The acknowledgement of how bad things can be, combined with the faith that I'm being held anyway, is a message I need. Like many of you, I'm facing a lot of anxiety these days. What a world. Even with lots of joy in my life lately, there's still lots to be anxious about. I don't need to list the realities we share, and you alone can name your private burdens and anxieties. With so much to hold, I'm not always as present as I want to be. I'm not as good a listener, and that grieves me. I invite you now for a moment to test with me whether we really need to hold it all ourselves. Let's test the container of this moment. Can it hold you? Can you set down what you've been carrying and be carried? Can we rest our ears for a moment and know that we are heard? In that spirit, a prayer for the listeners by Reverend Joe M. Cherry. When my ears are full of the worries, the concerns, the pains of others, grant me permission for silence. When my arms and shoulders and back ache from the burdens of others, grant me permission to set them down. Guide me to another, a friend perhaps, to talk with, not for once to be talked at. And may I not be a burden to them as I pour out my pain, my weariness, my exhaustion, but a place, a space of mutual care. My listener friend, may you always know, no matter how tired I am, you can turn to me too. I don't know to whom Reverend Cherry addresses his prayer, but this morning I address it to the water that Brandon and Will sang about earlier. Water, heal my body. Water, heal my soul. Water, heal my ears so that I can listen again, not only to your sorrow, but to your joy. This morning we have one caring card. Condolences for Tamara P., whose beloved grandmother, Oneida, gracious and tenacious in life and memory, died last Saturday. We hold you in grief, Tamara. Our sorrows brought forward this morning are from Susan N., whose friend had a bad reaction to meds and is in extreme pain. Angela R. requests prayers for 2 loved ones recovering from surgery. Brad B. shares that our dog Briggs was hospitalized, and Brad is waiting to find out if Briggs suffered a stroke or has a brain tumor. And Barb A. shares, our neighbors across the street have COVID. First the father, now mother and son, and their teenage daughter is cooking for everyone. We wish them well, Barb says, with mailed postcards and phone calls. And this morning we share joy with Susan C., who asks for caring thoughts and congratulations for her son, Brad, on his acceptance into a nurse anesthetist program. And Dana R. says, thank you, caring team, for my lovely birthday card I received this past week. Happy birthday. Amy Murphy and Tom Stone are excited to be married tomorrow at First UU. And Amber's putting a link in the chat about their story. Tom's son will join them in person along with Reverend Marion and some tech helpers. All other wedding guests will join online via Zoom. Amy and Tom have known each other since 1992 and were recently reunited. They're very thankful that their family, friends, and relatives of many ages and health conditions can gather virtually for this special day. Congratulations, Amy and Tom. Now, as Reverend Marian rings the temple bell, let us listen to the silence and know we are being heard.
I ask that you allow the sound of our temple bell carry you into the silence. Amen. Blessed be. I now invite you to sing together, voice still and small.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
Our closing words this morning are again from Richard Wagames. You stand on the edge of a canyon and you shout something. The world and the universe echo your own voice back, whether you shout Yahoo or Yeehaw. That's just how echoes work. What you throw out echoes your own energy back. I love you. Thank you, Creator. I am happy. Such a small thing to consider, but such a large thing to do. Which words am I throwing out to the universe today? And what will come back to me as a result? I now invite you to sing together once again our closing song, Hush. It's an African-American spiritual from the slavery period. You know, we've come a long way and we have such a long way to go. What if we listened deeply and let the Spirit in each child, each of us, find the freedom to thrive?
Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling my I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
I invite you to grab your candle or your chalice so we can extinguish the flame together. As a symbol of our shared connection and vision as a congregation, I invite you to place your hands over your heart or virtually hold hands together as we say our closing words. The words will be in your chat box. If you don't know them by heart yet, they will also be on the screen. Let us extinguish our chalice together to these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Our chalice is extinguished.
Hi, I've got a few announcements for us before we part. If you have not already been attending, I would highly recommend that you join us Monday evenings from 7 to 8:15 for our Conversation on Race group. Right now, we're working our way through the Unitarian Universalist Commission on Institutional Changes report. This report took a long and detailed look at how we as Unitarian Universalists can do a better job fighting racism, injustice, and equality in our own congregations and in Unitarian Universalism as a whole. This is critically important. And it's a challenging report that invites us to do the difficult work in order to truly become a welcoming and inclusive faith community. As I mentioned at the beginning of the service, the First UU board will host a town hall next week following the service. There will be announcements and a big question topic for discussion. What will you and your loved ones need in order to feel safe returning to our building together? In 2 weeks, on Sunday, November 1st, we'll have our annual remembrance service. Please send photos of loved ones you have lost in the last year and their names to Reverend Marion. Also, if you are considering joining the church, our next Pathways class is on November 1st. Let Kelly know, or you can register at firstuucolumbus.org/pathways.
Everyone is invited to coffee hour after the service. After the postlude, you can go ahead and click the link in the chat, grab your coffee, tea, or water, and then head back over to Zoom. A reminder that the pass code is lowercase UU. Coffee hour will go live in a few minutes once your worship leaders relocate virtually.
Special thanks to everyone who made today's worship service possible. Thanks to Angela Rupert for tech support and to our board president, Lisa Brandt, for today's announcements and words of welcome. Thank you to our musicians, including the special musical offering from Will Lane and Brandon Moss, our Director of Music and Chalice Choir Director. Thanks also to Michaela Jones-Brown, our Spirit of Life Choir Director, and Nathan Ham, our pianist. Thank you to our ministry team, including myself, Kelly McNeil, our Director of Congregational Life, Isabel Call, our Assistant Minister of Pastoral Care, and our Senior Minister, Reverend Dr. Marion Stewart.
Everyone is invited to coffee hour right after the service. The link will be on the next slide. I hope to see you there in just a few moments. In the meantime, a take-home question for this week, but also for coffee hour. What does it mean to you to listen deeply? And a second question, how do you build your capacity for hope? See you there. Thank you.